What do you got, LT?
I think we have to ask, where is there any other body cam footage? And we can note that the only body cam footage that's been released is from Beaver County
ECU
personnel.
team. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Beaver County, this is in Butler County. Obviously, they had units helping out. I think, well, you look at who the sheriff of Beaver County is. I mean, I'll just say that guy was guarding the Flight 93 scene, briefly worked with Joint Terrorism Task Force afterwards.
So he's a useful tool, it seems.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Possibly.
Maybe. All right, so
that's all.
We do have the body cam footage, and there's a big chunk of it in the middle that's missing, and there's also a big chunk where nothing really goes on. So we're really going to look at it when we get to it in the beginning until they get there, and then once it gets static, we'll just fast forward, and you guys know you can go get the source footage. But there are some interesting things to be had from that, and the way I want to set it up is like this. After Trump gets shot, there was video a couple weeks ago, this was one of the earliest videos available, of law enforcement outside of a chain link fence, and they cannot get to where the president is, and all this activity just happened. So they're trying their hardest. Somebody got sent to get a ladder, which is ironic. They didn't have bolt cutters, which I thought was also a little ironic. And so the way they get these guys through the fence is they have a police cruiser hit the fence twice. And one of the guys even says, like, do it like you mean it or hit it like you mean it. And they bust a hole, and these guys go running through. Now, one of these guys has a body cam on his helmet, and it looks like it's right next to like his flashlight or something, right? And so the ECU guys are tactical, and they go running through, and you're going to see they have to struggle to get their backpack through. But then these state police guys run off toward the water tower. Now, by the time they get to the roof, it's a good 10, 11, 12 minutes after Trump gets shot. So the whole place is cleared out. There's already 4 guys on the roof, which begs the question, after so many minutes have elapsed, why is the footage we're being shown these guys like getting into action and running around? It almost seemed on the surface of it, not even being like conspiratorial, it almost seemed like this is a setup piece of psychological warfare footage that they filmed to make it look like something it's not, which is the opposite fucking reason you would have a body cam on. So that shenanigans right there. How did Thomas Crooks do that? Did Thomas Crooks cut out the 16 minutes in the middle of the footage? Like Thomas Crooks, like all the things they attribute to the lone gunman are still going on after the gunman's cranium has been canoed. So we're gonna have to take a look at some of these clips. FBI assassins content tracked to the FBI near the FBI. I'm sorry, the Trump assassin contact information. His devices got tracked near FBI. So that comes from Project Oversight. They did a whole bunch of data crunching from publicly available intelligence. They have a lot more detail to their story and narrative than the FBI or the Secret Service. And there's a whole bunch of interesting maps and places where they track the devices. And some of these, like, you know, someone who regularly visited Crook's home and work. That's like a confidential informant. Crooks might not know the guy's a confidential informant for the FBI, but he's visiting his home and work and then goes down and talks to his handler. Okay? That's how it appears shortly before the event, right? So these pieces of data, they have yet to be, they seem substantial, but, you know, there might be data that comes out and says, oh, these connections really aren't the connections. But anyway, this is a story still in progress, and that's kind of how it unfolds into this next set of clips where we're going to learn a little bit about these tracked devices and who else might have been aiding, abetting, conspiring with Mr. Crooks, who could not have possibly done it all by himself, even if he did take all 8 shots. We have yet to substantiate that with any evidence, but those are the claims being thrown around by the official narrative circles. Again, they still don't have a clean motive on why this guy did what he did, allegedly. So let's go in together to these clips with an attitude of gratitude and a sense of curiosity, trying to understand what is going on, knowing that it was purposely made so you can't understand it, which is part of the challenge that we all enjoy each week on Grand Theft World.
This is the news cycle that just never ends. I go upstairs. I'm like, all right, let's cover Kimberly Cheadle, who went on Capitol Hill and got absolutely gutted from the inside out. We'll go through some of that, and then as I'm filming that video, it's like, hey, did you know that Joe Biden's being reported as dead? I'm like, no, I did not know that. I started looking through it. It's like, yeah, he's either dead or terminally ill. And I'm like, wow, that's a big story. I feel like I should probably cover that. So I filmed that. And then while I'm filming that, I put that video up. I get up. I'm like, I'll go take a break, go to jujitsu. And then bam, out of nowhere, okay, this report comes up. And oh my God, okay, oh my God. So I honestly think that this is so important that I'm going to tell you who this is reporting it first, because it is like, this is so serious, okay? So the Oversight Project is the Everyday Americans legal and investigative org battling corruption and weaponization. And they got 50,000. They've got the yellow check. Okay. How am I not following them? I mean, listen, dude, bottom line, this is a credible source. All right. Now take a look at this little gem right here that we're going to look at, dude. So this is about connections between the assassin and the federal agencies, specifically the FBI, it looks like. So, okay. So that's what we're going to do, okay? And we're talking like digital footprint connections. Like, we're not talking... hey, we saw this guy who worked for the FBI in 1992, and he was walking on a street that Thomas Cooks or whatever, Thomas Crooks had lunch on 6 weeks prior. We're talking like cell phone tracked to his residence that is connected to the FBI building in D.C., It was here at his house, and now it's here in an FBI building, like that kind of connection, which is absolutely insane. I don't understand how all of these stories are real, but they are. And so that is what we're going to look at. And you can go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and you can say that you were here before 400,000 subscribers when I have 7 million, And you're like, I was there. I mean, listen, dude, I had less than 200,000 10 days ago. 10 days ago, I had 184,000 subscribers, and now I have whatever I have now, which is just bananas. I am incredibly grateful, and I'm happy to have all of you guys. So go ahead and like this video also, if you guys don't mind, and jump on a ship that seems to be headed in the right direction. What? All right, so check this out. The Oversight Project is reporting assassination info drop. We found the assassin's connections through our in-depth analysis of mobile ad data to track movements of Crooks and his associates. Okay. To do this, we tracked devices that regularly visited both Crooks' home and place of work and followed them. So that's pretty straightforward what they did. All right. So, this is why a special commission, not a task force, is needed. This cannot be business as usual. Business as usual almost got Donald Trump killed. Congress has already shown an inability to compel information. Yeah, that's exactly right, because they straight up could not get her to answer any questions today. That was infuriating, dude. So here we go. Someone who regularly visited Crooks' home and work also visited a building in Washington, D.C., located in Gallery Place. This is in the same vicinity as an FBI office in June 26th, 2023. Whose device is this? Are you serious? Seriously, whose device is this? Okay? If this is the FBI, then I feel like we should probably know exactly why the FBI was in the house of a guy who was in a BlackRock commercial and then subsequently took shots at the president. Okay? I don't understand why. It's always citizen journalists who find this stuff. Like, why can't you tell us if stuff like this happens? Unless there is something that you're trying to cover up, Unless there's something you're trying to cover up. Like, what is this? Like the woman in that extra grilled the Secret Service director today. She's like, why won't you tell us how many shells were on the roof? Okay, you're telling us you know how many shells were on the roof. The slanted roof, there should be zero, right? There should be zero shells on the roof because it's so slanted that it's too dangerous for Secret Service to be on, which means that, the spent casings would have slid right off because it's just so slanted. But no, she won't answer that question, right? And so it's like, all right, well, can you explain why there is cell phone data from a person who was in the shooter's house, who again is in a BlackRock commercial, so obviously knows someone at BlackRock, and is going to the plaza where the FBI is, like a year ago. Who is this? Okay. Now, another device linked to crooks visited Plymouth, Massachusetts. So here you go. Pittsburgh to, you can see this tracking here. It's at a hotel in Plymouth. I don't know what that means exactly. We found a device linked to Crook's work that traveled to Butler, Pennsylvania on July 4th and July 8th. And then this device stopped all activity July 12th. Huh? Sounds like a burner, right? Stopped at, there's a Home Depot. And then this is where he worked. This is where he worked. Device linked to his work. So it's probably like a burner. One device linked to crooks visited Allegheny Arms. So this is some kind of gun shop, right? And then here's all the relevant locations within Bethel Park, Pennsylvania that are linked to both Crooks' home and a place of work. Okay, so it looks like you've got Tang Sudo Karate College, Bethel Park Laundromat, Flora Garden. I don't really know. Oh, this is actually blacked out. Oh, it's got to be an address probably. These are addresses, I would imagine. Then goes to the work, school. I don't really know what to make of this, to be honest. Okay, for those who are tracking this type of data, we identified devices that were located at Crook's home and his work within the last year. There were at least 9 devices linked to those 80 IDs. We are willing to cooperate with legitimate investigations and share further information. For the protection of whistleblowers and our investigation, we will not be sharing further information with the congressional task force due to the connective tissue between that entity and FBI and U.S. Secret Service other entities. That's wild. Do you understand what they're saying right there? They're saying they won't share this with the feds and the U.S. Secret Service because they're afraid that their whistleblowers are going to get got. That's wild, but not unreasonable. And then here's Secret Service is right there. This guy says, is that coincidence? Because over here on the right is where the devices were. And then over here is Secret Service. Listen, dude, if it didn't go to the Secret Service, then yeah, it probably is coincidence. Because if the FBI is over there, it's not, a huge shock that, it's not a huge shock that the Secret Service building would be close to there. But what on earth is going on, man? Like, I thought this guy's a loner that has no friends. Remember? Mr. No Friendo over there. I have listen, man, what I do know is that he wore military fatigues and he was just always like getting made fun of. I never saw him with anyone. So would you say he's a loner? Yes, I would definitely say he's a loner, and specifically a lone gunman. Why are you saying it like that? What? Like what? You sound like you're saying it because you want it to be a soundbite. No. He just was a loner/lone gunman. Definitely no one connected to this guy. No friends, no contacts, no nothing. That just is what it is, man. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask me about him that are not connected to, you know, him being a lone gunman? They're like, yeah, I have a lot. He's like, well, I can't answer any of them. All I can tell you is that he was bullied. He has no friends. He's a lone gunman. All right. Well, thank you for your contributions, guy. This is the shadiest thing ever, man. You know? But honestly, you want to know one thing that I wanted to talk about in this video that I kind of forgot to talk about in my previous video, the one that's up right now about the with Kimberly Cheadle, is I really genuinely do not understand how are they allowed to go up there and just like not answer questions? You know what I'm saying? Like, why can they do that? They go up there, they're all right, yeah, you know, listen, thank you so much for your interest in this, but I'm just not going to answer that. You're all, why are you not going to answer that? You know, why would you get to not answer that? Well, it's an FBI investigation. You're all right. But you know what? I think the American people deserve to know. How many shells were on the roof? Do you hear how many people think that this is a conspiracy that you were involved in? People think you did this. Yeah, I understand. I don't think you do. Would you quell some suspicion and answer a fucking question, for God's sake? Anyway, I don't know what to make of this, dude. But, you know, the story about the chick that was behind Trump and, you know, it's identified as FBI. They're all, it's not FBI, though. It's this other woman. It's like, okay. Well, are we going to interview her? Are you sure? You know, you don't think that we could get a patsy to pretend like it's, I don't know, man. I don't trust any of this shit. But that happened. So cell phone data connecting the FBI to our buddy over there. So do with that information what you will.
The Pennsylvania State Police colonel, he testified yesterday and said that they left.
Right. He's wrong.
He's wrong about that.
He's wrong about that.
Because he said that when they spotted him, that they left to go look for him, and that's why the roof wasn't covered.
No, that's not true. They stayed where they were. They could not see where he was located when he was on the roof. Their vantage point was they would literally had to have been leaning out the window looking over to where he was located. But they were still where they were supposed to be, and they couldn't find him. He had walked around the building and they had called it in. So they didn't leave their posts. I don't know why he said that, but
I mean, that was a pretty serious thing to say to Congress.
Well, yeah, it was, and I'm not saying he wasn't telling it. I mean, maybe he was told that, and that's what he believes happened. But that's not what happened. They did not leave. They just couldn't see where he was from where they were. The vantage point did not permit them to see where he was shooting from.
Yeah, it seemed like almost immediately the finger pointing started. You know, we were hearing from Secret Service sources that it was the local law enforcement's fault. Local law enforcement was afraid to talk, but, you know, on the defensive. What do you make of that? I mean, is it the local police that dropped the ball, or is it the feds?
I don't think it was not the local police or the local law enforcement that dropped the ball. They had specific duties assigned to them by the Secret Service. They performed those duties. And so I'm not pointing the finger at the Secret Service. I'm not pointing the finger at the state police. I'm just saying that somewhere along the way somebody made a mistake, but I'm telling you that local law enforcement, who was there volunteering their time, they weren't paid. They were there volunteering their time, risking their lives for the former president, and they were where they were supposed to be, where they were told to be.
Which was the building?
Well, they had several locations where they were assigned to be. One of those locations was a building that was in that area where the shooting occurred, but where those two people were located, and they never left their post. They were there the entire time. They were not, from their vantage point, they were not able to see where the shooter was.
Yeah, it's our understanding that they were on a second floor looking out a window.
Correct.
Why weren't they on the roof?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. That would not. They would have been where they were told to be. So I don't know why they weren't on the roof, but they were supposed to be in that second floor at those windows.
Are you surprised that the Secret Service put local law enforcement in charge of a building so close to the former president, so close with a direct line of sight, essentially?
Well, no, I'm not surprised. I wouldn't say that they were actually in charge of that building. I would just say that that's where they were supposed to be to observe a specific area within the venue to see if there was anything that was going to occur. So, in my opinion, the Secret Service is in charge of all of the location, inside and outside of the venue, to make sure that it's secure.
Do you know, because we've heard a few different things in terms of when there was an officer who was able to climb up on the roof for a second and see the shooter. Can you walk us through what you know about how that happened?
Well, at some point after the two snipers lost visual of the shooter, and then he was on that roof. In that time span, I don't know what the time frame exactly is, but I know because they had called in that this guy's suspicious. So these uniformed officers showed up. I think they were uniformed. I shouldn't say these officers showed up looking for him. And I don't know how they knew he was up on the roof, but yes, he did crawl up. He was on another officer's shoulders, and he crawled up and saw the shooter. He turned. I don't know if he aimed at him or not, but when he did that, the officer, the natural reaction, kind of ducked down, and he ended up falling off of the other guy's shoulders. And I don't know if he was injured in that or not, but in my opinion, he's a hero. I mean, he distracted the guy enough. Who knows what he could have pulled off if he, could have been concentrating. Instead, just now he's distracted and say, hey, they know I'm here. What can you tell us about the communication breakdown? There were several Congress people here yesterday as part of the Homeland Security Committee who said that that there was not a local police officer in the room, the Secret Service Command Center, that had a radio that was able to keep everybody in touch. So what I'm understanding is the Secret Service had their own radios. Our local guys had their own radios, and the state police had their own radios, and they could not communicate with each other.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to News Nation now. Warning about some video you're about to see. Graphic body camera video has been released showing police standing over the body of Thomas Crooks less than an hour after he was shot and killed while trying to assassinate former President Donald Trump. KDKA's Jennifer Barrasso joins us live in Butler Township with that video and with some new information from the state police commissioner after he testified today in Congress. Jen?
Good evening. So one Butler County official repeatedly telling KDKA they did not have the manpower to secure the AGR complex. Today, the head of the Pennsylvania State Police testified that it was ESU Butler who was in charge of securing that building. And we now want to show you some stunning video, body cam video on that roof after Thomas Crooks was already dead. Senator Chuck Grassley released body camera video from the rooftop after the attempted assassination on former President Donald Trump. In the video, local police and U.S. Secret Service officers gathering facts and recapping the timeline.
So this is the guy yes, Beaver County sniper team has sent the pictures out. This is him. Okay. Right in the back. Is he on that bike? We don't know. We don't know. Inside this building. Michelle's in there. All right, so if you go to that window that's open and yell for that's the sniper that sent the original pictures and seen him come from the bike and set the butt back down and then lost sight of him. Okay. He's the one that sent the pictures out.
Grassley also tweeted the site plan in a letter to the Homeland Security Secretary and the acting director of the Secret Service and a contact list of people involved in the rally, including emergency service units from Butler and Beaver counties. Pennsylvania State Police Colonel Christopher Paris testified to members of Congress that the Secret Service told him that Butler ESU was in charge of securing the AGR complex and that they were inside a building on the second floor.
How many ESU officers were posted to that second floor window?
So I am aware that 2 were in the building, but again, I have not seen the Secret Service operations plan.
Paris says 2 officers left the space to go help look for a suspicious person on the ground.
They leave. Did they was Secret Service notified that they were leaving to go look for this guy, and thus those eyes on top of the building? No.
I do not know, and the other thing that I do not know is where else Butler ESU sent that information. I have not been briefed on that.
Who told them to go look? Do you know if they were told to go look?
I do not know, sir.
I find it interesting that they leave, this guy is so suspicious, has a rangefinder, they leave their post that they are manning to go look for him, yet Secret Service, and they get told about it 20 to 25 minutes beforehand, but the Secret Service still lets the president go on the stage. I'm just totally blown away by that.
Several members of Congress toured the site in Butler Township. They were told heat was an issue.
And what would be your reaction to that assertion, Colonel?
I can't respond to it. I have no firsthand knowledge about it.
Was it a hot day in Butler that day?
I believe it was a warm day.
The local snipers went inside the building, but the question would be, was that approved by the Secret Service?
The American people have the right to know what happened that day at the farm show grounds in Butler, Pennsylvania. They have the right to know, and we have the responsibility to find out for them. And we will not stop until we get the answers.
Paris also testified over multiple points of confusion over which person was in which command posts and about how information was getting out. That phone and radio communications breaking down. A high-level source here in Butler County telling me that officers were using text messages to get out critical information like the photo of the shooter. But at one point, there was poor cell service, so text messages were failing, the source tells me, and they had to use email instead. Reporting live in Butler Township, Jennifer Barrasso, KDK TV News.
You're Ronnie, we're coming to you now.
Go.
You're gonna have to take that bag off.
I'm not fit.
Trying to figure out how this guy got here.
Go. Go.
You're gonna have to take that bag off.
I'm not fit.
Well, we're in 50.
You will.
You guys gonna fit?
I don't know. We'll make it happen.
Hold on, Rich.
Go.
Yeah, I can get through there. Yeah, we need full cutters. Well, that's the thing.
Watch your face.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Look, Joey.
Clear it.
Operators are. I think they're on the roof.
Is that where the dude is too?
Yeah, he's up there too.
So ladders anywhere?
So the ladders are en route. The operators suffered lacerations to their hand from climbing up, and so like we might need minor stitching.
Okay.
Can't confirm life status on the mail, but let's get our operators take care of first. But ladder is coming. So how we got up, next corridor over. Okay. We're in this like little. You'll see all the handprints on the.
Pine trees.
The suspect is directly above us.
The ladder's gonna be coming over here.
Yeah. They're gonna bring it the backside.
So that corridor down there?
Yeah. It's right between the pine trees.
Any close that has
Here, what about that ladder there?
Yeah.
There's a ladder right here.
Can we use that ladder?
Can we use this ladder?
Yes, you can. Go down to that corridor. Hold on. This is where they climbed, or this is where that guy climbed?
Go ahead, Michelle. I want to make sure you get up there before me. Thanks, brother.
Yep.
on the stage to the right. If you're out in the crowd looking at the stage to the right. Yeah. He was on a roof outside of the fence.
You need anything, brother?
No, I need to take a break.
All right.
Set up a solid perimeter around this building. Okay. Because we're gonna have to get access and clear it out. And I believe in the area. Watch out for shell casings.
2, 3, 4, 5 right there.
Limit who comes up here.
No more guys up here. Go. Give me a solid perimeter. Get guys prepped to clear the building. All right.
4 command. 4 command. Alpha 18 to 4 command. 4 Delta.
We got reports of lights along the west side of the building
West side over here.
Yeah, that is correct. That's part of the initial. If you can give me a quick location on it, we'll be able to.
Copy. If you happen to see one in any type of device on, let me know. I'll relay it.
Anybody, obviously,
Let everything calm down for a second. I'm pretty sure, I would imagine, Secret Service or FBI will probably worry about that.
I just been sitting, I've been texting stuff to command with like literally notations, like when you found that, and so I could.
You got a notepad on you, bro? You got a notepad and pen? Watch out, that's the rifle. Got hair all over the place. Shells over here.
Both sides. Looks like what, at least 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. At least 8.
All right, pause it for a second. Okay, so here's an observation. When the guys with the camera get up there, there's already like 4 guys on the roof. When he counts 5 shells, when he counts 5 casings, the other guy who later notices the 3 on the other side, he's standing right there. He's walking around. You can watch him in the background. He's walking around looking. If those casings were there when the first guy counted to 5, this other guy would have said there's 3 there. That's not what happens. There's a big chunk of footage missing. And then in the end of that 28-minute clip that LD just showed you, you see them for the first time. It's an hour after the shooting. They're counting the casings, which is not how CSI episodes work. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm ignorant. But it just seems a little weird.
It seems very, very strange. Yeah. And when they were climbing up on the roof, I have to point out that they all used the top step of the ladder, which they're not supposed to do.
Thank you for pointing that out.
We need an OSHA investigation immediately. Because in the field of construction, we never use that top step.
Oh, never.
Never have. Never have.
No, that's a telestep ladder. It probably has different directions because I'm sure that ladder's like $5,000 that they used out of the back of a police car.
Yeah. But no, you're right, man. Like that's the fact that they just like jump cut. I mean, that's tells you everything you need to know. Like, what were they saying? What were they doing? Like, what were they game planning, strategizing something? Like, what needed to be occulted out of that entire exchange and all that information. Like, what is there to hide? The situation's over. So now are we in full cover-up mode? It seems like ever since it happened, it's just full cover-up mode, top to bottom.
Yeah, and it's not even a good cover-up. Like, I can respect if it was like Rumsfeld type cover-up where you're like, you know, they're really good at this. But right now, like it's effective, but it's not. I just expected them to be better polished at their skullduggery. But yeah, it's I don't know, it keeps getting shady. The more this episode unfolds, we'll find out about second shooter and stuff soon. But this is just the pieces of evidence we had to put on the record before we get to that part of the episode.
Twice a year, I teach a course called Autonomy. It's a 12-week course. It teaches leadership, entrepreneur skills, executive skills, all these types of things that I saw were taken out of our education system in order to make the schooling or indoctrination system that we've all probably went through. And it has served us well enough to be interchangeable cogs in the machine of the globalists. But if we want a homestead, if we want write our own ticket, work from home job, work from anywhere type of situation, they're not exactly handing those out at the end of college. They give you a piece of paper and they're like, good luck. So reality is dropping us off here, but the demands of reality are up here. So I created Autonomy to help people close that gap for themselves so they can level up their skills to the demands of the situations that life is putting in front of us presently. Life's demands of intellect and understanding precision and complexity are ever increasing. The schooling didn't prepare us for it. The media is not going to do anything but reinforce what schooling prepared us for. And so we're going to have to take a leadership position and take steps off the beaten path to kind of blaze our own trail in life. What makes the Grand Theft World podcast unique, invigorating, exciting, and informative? Most other podcasts out there are either doing straight up interviews or they're just covering the daily news. They're covering current events from the day they happened. And that is effective. It's useful. It's a great starting point. And then sometimes these current events change during the week past the first story. So we like to give it a little time. You have to wait till some of the dust settles on these stories in order to give them accurate coverage. And the other thing that's really missing in the media landscape is covering the articles that are coming out every day. That's great. That's necessary. But who's bringing in contextual history so that you can understand what has been going on for decades and decades to lead up to the machinations and actions that we see unfolding today? So what we do here on the podcast is we cover current events. Many of these things are censored, but we wait about a week. As a forensic historian, I focused mainly through my career on the history of globalism and collectivism and things that they call maybe the New World Order. There's a lot of facts to these sort of circumstances, groups, events, activities, working groups that they've had over time. So for Grand Theft World listeners, we not only break down the current events, most of which that are censored during the week, we provide you with contextual history, we give you the source notes, the references, we do deep dives, and this really empowers you with an understanding of context and history so that you can make more informed decisions in your life. There's also a community, a membership where you guys can actually ask questions and we can get into the show and we can share evidence. And there's a town hall weekly for Grand Theft World for those who listen to it and are interested in covering the stories that we don't get to during a 6-hour show. Listening to it an hour a day, you could easily consume the week's news, but you're going to have substance and meaning and context and understanding. And with that, you can make higher quality decisions in your life. So if you're interested in more quality in your life, go to grandtheftworld.com, click podcast at the top, and we'll see you there. Thank you.
These allegations are false.
This isn't Grand Theft Auto, folks. This isn't a video game.
What are the most surprising things that you discovered once you started pulling on that thread? Who he was connected to, what institutions he was influential over, what events he participated in?
Come on, man. What are we talking about? Come on, man. No.
You don't have to think about it, dude.
I got this quote because you said you didn't know much about Klaus Schwab. I made it my job to, as soon as this happened, I'm like, okay, this guy's their front man. Let me learn about the official history of the World Economic Forum. I got their 40-year history. I got every book that Klaus Schwab has written or ghostwritten. I went through those books. This is one of the most interesting passages.
Come on, man. Come on.